we're going to be looking over some interesting stuff. So today we got a brand new interview with Mr. Zaki himself. In all his majesty, the absolute beauty of the man. Truly ageless. Honestly, it makes me blush. He's a beautiful man. But we got an interview with him that is on Nintendo.com, and it's all about him talking about the new game, the Duskbloods. If you guys didn't see the trailer or somehow didn't hear anything about it, this is Fromsoftware's brand new game that is exclusive, at least currently known, exclusive to the brand new Nintendo Switch. Now, of course, I'm with everybody. I think that the fact that this is exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2 sucks for multiple reasons. You know, number one being that you got to buy a $500 console to play this thing, which really sucks. And then even the worst part is, if somebody came to me and said, hey, what's the worst game or what's the worst console do you think that you can put a entire multiplayer focused video game on? My first answer would instantly be Nintendo. So, of course, naturally, that's the console that FromSoft decided to pop their multiplayer-focused 8-player PvPvE game. It's a weird choice, but all that aside, we're here to just find out about the game. Because no matter what, I'm already in there, right? I'm going to get the console. I'm going to get the game. It's my job. And if you guys don't want to get it yourselves, you know, you let me take that hit, and I'll always put out content of it and tell you guys straight up if the game's fun and worth getting or if it's not. From the man himself talking about the game. Now, this is a beefy one, so kind of settle in here. We got part 1, Blood by Dusk, and we do have, I think, a couple new screenshots that we'll see later. Can you please give us a self-introduction? I wish you would have just said, nah, you know who I am. My name is Hidetaka Miyazaki. I work at Fromsoftware, and I'm the director of Duskbloods. So, of course, that was actually something I wasn't entirely sure about until, like, later, that he is actually the main directing person behind this game. Similar to Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, 3, Elden Ring, Demon Souls. The only one he didn't direct, I believe, is Dark Souls 2. First off, please tell us what led to this title being developed for Nintendo Switch 2. Okay, let's get into it. A while back, we had the opportunity to meet with Nintendo to discuss ideas, and during this discussion, we presented a rough outline for the Duskbloods. It was still very bare bones at the time, more a loose string of ideas than a proper presentation. The concept itself was different from anything we had done before, and Nintendo seemed very interested in helping it become a reality, so that's when the project kicked off. At first, it was being worked on by a small team as a title for Nintendo Switch. However, just as the game started to take shape, we were approached by Nintendo with talks of Switch 2. Okay, so it was actually in development by, probably 2 years ago. This was in development for the first Switch. This wasn't even like a Switch 2 exclusive beforehand. It was going to come out for the original Switch. We were approached by Nintendo with the talk of Switch 2, which led us to revamp our development path with this new hardware in mind. The new hardware's focus on online features allowed us to stay as true to the original vision as possible, which was very good news to us. I like the idea of them just straight up like going, we got this idea for this multiplayer game, and Nintendo's like, oh yeah, sure, why not? Again, why Nintendo? I don't know. Oh, that's a new screenshot too. Let's get a look at that bad boy. Okay, so we have... Man, I mean, from the looks of it, it kind of looks like Teams, but it could still be like a free-for-all situation. It sounds like the game differs from most of your previous titles. Can you give us a little more detail as to what type of game it is? In terms of structure, we considered it a PvPvE title at its core. It's an online multiplayer-focused game with both players versus players and player versus enemy gameplay. An acronym referred to a style of fighting where an additional players... Okay, so let's just explain what PvPvP is. Did you always have some desire to make a PvPvE type game? Yes. I've always found the PvPvE structure very interesting. It allows for a broad range of game design ideas, while also letting us leverage our experience in designing challenging enemy encounters. As a side note... Okay, so this is what I actually saw as well. As a side note, please allow me to address one thing. As previously mentioned, this is an online multiplayer title at its core. But this doesn't mean that as a company we have decided to shift to a more multiplayer focused direction with titles going forward. The Nintendo Switch 2 version of Elden Ring was also announced, and we still intend to actively develop single player focused games such as that to embrace our traditional style. So if that, was like a worry for people that FromSoft was just going to straight up go, alright, from now on we're only making multiplayer games. From the mouth of the Zaki himself, they're not done with games like Elden Ring. They're not done with single player stuff. They're still, and probably by the way, still currently in development, is a third game that I'm sure is going to be entirely focused on single player, its own world. So let them kind of experiment a little bit, They're not done with the single player games. I love the idea from software kind of like branching out and trying some new shit. Honestly, people don't like Night Rain. I was a fan of Night Rain. I liked Elden Ring, and this is cool. Playing it with the boys was super fun. And with this game as well, you know how long as a community, as somebody who's been part of the PvP community and started off as a PvP player, primarily Invasions, the Worst Invader series that I started literally like 7-8 years ago. You know how long we've wanted like a full support PvP style game, even with the not including the VE, you know what I mean? Like there's also boss fights and stuff like that, but a PvP focused game now. Unfortunately, they brought it to probably the worst PvP console that exists, but in general, I'll fucking take it, man. Like I love the combat that Souls games do. The invasions, in my opinion, are such a unique aspect of Souls games, and I absolutely love it. I love the PvP in the game. As broken as it is, yes, even with that, I think that people saw two games that focus on multiplayer with Night Rain and this game, and they're like, well, that's it. FromSoftware is dead. There goes the company we knew and loved. RIP forever. I'm going to close my eyes and never touch a FromSoftware game again. Like, it's silly, but at the same time, people are so, like tunnel visioned. It's like they only see what the present is and don't look back at like the past games that they've done and a possible future. No, they only live in the present. They're like dogs. All right, let's see. What do we got next? Please tell us about the game's character and setting. The game's protagonists, or characters that are controlled by the player, are known as Bloodsworn. The Bloodsworn are a group of members that have achieved superhuman abilities through the power of special blood. As a general concept, they're similar to vampires, but they're not portrayed as the horrifying monsters you might associate with traditional vampirism. We try to extract the sort of romantic aspect we found interesting from the concepts such as vampires and blood, and reinterpreted them as the Bloodsworn, which is, I'm gonna be honest, like when I think of vampires, I do think of them more as the fucking Brad Pitt. In the Duskbloods, the Bloodsworn are competing for something known as First Blood. As human society reaches an end, First Blood flows in an event known as the Twilight of Humanity. The Bloodsworn are summoned to the Twilight of Humanity across a variety of different times and places in a bid to obtain the First Blood. Due to this, there is no fixed era or location in which the Duskbloods takes place. They're more traditional Gothic or Victorian style maps, as well as those depicting the closing years of the early modern period, like the one glimpsed in the trailer with the train running through it. Okay, so it seems like it isn't one big world. It actually seems to be maps. So like you'll load into a multiplayer game and it'll be, alright, we got fucking Gothic Castle, and everybody goes, I hate Gothic Castle. Maybe they have like a feature where you can skip. You think there'll be a pregame lobby, you can all talk shit to each other and you can vote on which map you play on? Maybe that would be sick, dude. Miyazaki, let us do that. Can you let us know the meaning behind the title, The Duskbloods? The Duskbloods directly refers to the Bloodsworn themselves. As mentioned earlier, the Bloodsworn are summoned to the Twilight of Humanity in a battle of the First Blood. Duskbloods is a collective term for these characters controlled by the player. So yeah, in general, all the vampires are just the Duskbloods. They are the people fighting for this First Blood thing. I wonder if like that's like the name for like a chicken dinner, you know, and like what do you call it in Player Unknown? In the end, when you're the last one standing and you win, it just goes, you got the First Blood. or something like that. Because it does seem kind of like a BR. It does seem like a BR, obviously mixed with like, but it could also be like an extraction type game. All right, let's see what he said. Let's see what it says. It sounds like blood plays a pretty big role in the game. No, you think so? The game called Duskbloods? Yes, in the context of this game, blood is used more conceptually as opposed to literal meaning like physical depictions of injury. Blood symbolizes one of the game's key themes, the history it holds, the power it passes on, the fate it weaves, and the marker of those who have surpassed the limitation of their own humanity. Alright, so we got the next one, which shows off different stuff like abilities and shit. Part 2, Superhuman Abilities and Opportunistic Behavior. What are some characteristics of the Bloodsworn? There are several reasons we put the player's focus on the Bloodsworn, with one of those being the character actions. The Bloodsworn possess superhuman abilities thanks to the special blood, so their actions are more dramatic than anything seen in our previous titles. Even basic character actions in this game such as sprinting, super jump, and double jump are designed to be dynamic and stress-free, and are complemented with each character's own unique weapon and abilities, allowing for a wide range of creativity. Also, and while this isn't directly related to Bloodsworns themselves, the setting allows for the depiction of firearms and such, and every character is equipped with some means of attacking from a distance. I feel this is one of the game's unique aspects when compared to previous titles. I hope these new action elements are one area that players will enjoy. So these guys, you're going to be jumping from rooftop to rooftop, and I guess you saw with some characters like the dude who has the jetpack and the big ass armor, he could be more of like, like not as strong of a vampire, but he, is a little bit smarter, and this motherfucker's flying across the map on his jetpack. You saw the character in the trailer jump from like a really high distance. Also, another interesting thing to know is, from the looks of it, there are set characters with set weapons and set abilities, so it's not like a free-for-all type of thing, or even like a BR really, where you kind of go into the world and you find weapons everywhere. Dedicated characters probably have their own type of lore, and they all have their own weapons, their own abilities, and probably their own specialties, right? Some of them are going to be faster, some of them are going to be tankier, some of them are going to be able to fly and jump really high and have different abilities and stuff like that. Now, the problem that comes with that when it comes to a multiplayer game, and I have a bad feeling because, listen, FromSoft sometimes ain't the best at balancing stuff when it comes to stuff being super overpowered. Can you guys see and imagine if there's one character that is just fucking OP as shit and way stronger than every other character? Everybody's gonna be running around as Havel, everybody's gonna be just running around as the girl with her two really OP weapons. Like, imagine one of the characters just has like a Rivers of Blood. You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be a meta 100% where people are just gonna pick like one or two characters and everybody's just gonna like leave out a few. Like, it always is gonna happen. Earlier, you referred to protagonists or characters as plural. Does this mean the player will be able to choose from multiple different characters? Yes. There are over a dozen characters for the player to choose from, each with their own identity and appearance. I think there are a lot of unique elements to the character design and the weapons they use, so hopefully the players can find one or two favorites among them. Also, each character can be customized to a certain extent, allowing players the fun of building a character that feels like their own. So probably you'll be able to change their cosmetic things, armor, the skins of the weapons. I'm assuming they're going to be like skins and shit. Reason to play and loot boxes. Oh my god, they have loot boxes. People are gonna flip out. But this is the fucking monster. This shit looks crazy. Look at it. It's like a big fly frog. He has 3 rows of humanoid teeth with a split tongue, and the split tongue has like, hear you out? No, we will not hear you out. By the way, these two are fighting together, so I wonder if, I hope there's not parties and like ganking. Please, just let it be a free-for-all. And I know people are going to want to play with their friends. Can you imagine you having to run up against a party of 4? And by the way, you know how I know Nintendo's holding back Miyazaki? Character's got sandals on. She's not barefoot. They're already getting in the way. Look at Nintendo getting in the way.
That frog's got some nice toes, though.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe still got it. Can you provide some more details about the general gameplay loop? Okay, here we go. The game has a so-called hub area where the player can choose their character, customize them, and enter online multiplayer. Online multiplayer supports up to 8 players. Upon conducting an online match, players then return to the hub, at which point they receive some of rewards whether they win or lose. Using these rewards, players can further customize their character, and so the cycle continues. Online matches are generally last player standing. However, there are certain cases where victory conditions differ. For example, players may be tasked with teaming up to take down a powerful boss enemy, or find themselves in other special circumstances. Interesting. Okay, so victory conditions are influenced not just by PvP results, but PvE results as well. That's right, some victory conditions center around defeating a boss enemy. I'm wondering, right, is this either going to be random events happen? Like, let's just say there's 3 people left alive. So now the game knows, all right, 3 people are alive. And they go, all get an objective, all get to this area here. If you're not there in a minute or 2, you die. Players can't kill each other at the end, and then you all had to go in and do a 3-player fight against a boss? Or will it be like an event happens and it starts, and first one to kill the boss wins or some shit? That's interesting.
What my brain thought it was there must be a certain amount of points you have to earn in the game to win. So you get those points from either killing other players or killing bosses in the area. So you could like find chase and team up together and just smash all the bosses and then you win together. Or you go out and kill each other, and killing a certain amount of players will then give you enough points to win.
But it does say the conditions differ.
That's what I mean.
Meaning that's not like it's not always it's not always like just kill each other, because it wants you to team up regardless of whether it's PvP or PvE. The idea to provide players with an experience that allows them to learn and hone their skills as they play. We've therefore designed the PvE boss encounters to present a tough challenge and a sense of accomplishment upon defeating them. By the way, I can already see situations where I wipe out the whole lobby, and then there's one guy who's been hiding, and then the game goes, alright, now you guys team up to fight a boss, and then he dies instantly to the boss, and I'm left with a boss fight to myself that is meant to be scaled to 2 people. By the way, instantly sounds like a BR game. I'm just going to say this sounds like a battle royale to me, with some cool PvE elements to it. IRL patches? That would be so funny. Imagine doing the patches thing where as soon as you get into the boss fight, he leaves. So players can also enjoy improving their own skills over time as they battle. Yes, although there are a variety of elements in place that keep the game from becoming too stoic. For example, how players conduct themselves during the match is just as important as direct combat. The Duskbloods implement victory points, which are responsible for ultimately deciding the outcome of the match. Oh, okay, so Valentine might have been right. To obtain victory points, direct combat is of course important, but it's not the only way. Some players may prefer to earn points by avoiding direct combat and instead engaging in more opportunistic behavior. Valentine was right, so it is based on these points. How you earn points is entirely up to you. Additionally, each character can summon an entity to assist in combat, giving players a high degree of freedom when it comes to how they fight and win. Aw, so any player can summon like a little spirit summon? Oh, that's fucking sick right there. Okay, so that must be your entity, maybe. I think that's probably you there. Maybe this is your entity here with the sniper. So Valentine was right. The way that the game is played is a point system. So you can actually just straight up go and do other things. There must be like objectives, mini bosses, boss fights throughout the map already. And then you just collect a shit ton of points. Imagine wiping out the whole lobby and then there being like one little rat. You're like, I can't fucking find this guy. And at the end of the game, you lose because this dude went around killing all the bosses and enemies. Shit. That'll be super interesting. But it also says that there's different ways to do it. So there must be like little objectives here and there. Maybe even like little quest lines. Can you help free a bunch of people? But yeah, it looks like also everybody can summon one little entity, and that entity will be helping you. It's definitely like going in there and just slaughtering everybody. While probably effective, not necessarily the only way to win. Another important aspect is match variables, such as event system. This system has the potential to alter the course of the match, such as special enemy spawns and additional objectives with accompanying bonus rewards. Even in the trailer, you may have noticed a giant stone face looming in the sky, and I do remember that. This is one of the examples of the events that can occur in a match. In this case, the appearance of the stone face affects the environment and changes match rewards, which can have an immediate impact on player motivations and objectives. These events don't happen all the time, and I hope discovering them gives players some incentives to keep coming back. That's interesting. Imagine this fucking face appears and anybody who's outside is constantly losing HP or some crazy shit like that. Wow, okay. So yeah, it looks like you have a point system, the way the game works. It's not just killing people, doing PvE, PvP. There's also events that could happen that completely change up the way the game works. And I'm assuming, being world events, you can theoretically have multiple people go in there and you all fight the boss. Who gets the points? I'd imagine whoever's in that area, right? You all fight the boss together and then kill this special event together. You all get a bunch of points. You can all fight if you want. You know, does it instantly throw you to a different location? Can you just, whoever's in that room, have a Mexican standoff, duke it out? Whoever comes out the winner? I fucking love that idea. I like that. Although imagine already, right? You have situations in single player now where there's a little fucking guy who hides in the corner while you fight the boss fight. It sounds like even those who tend to shy away from PvP can still enjoy themselves. That was the intention. I personally am not much of a PvP person. No, Miyazaki hates PvP. And wanted to make something that's satisfying even for players like me. While the goal of a match is to obtain first blood, there are personal objectives that provide separate rewards to players as well. So I hope these add to the fun of each engagement. By the way, I hope they also add some of those that are PvP related and not just PvE related. Like imagine like if there's no point in killing anybody else and you just all can gank the shit out of the bosses in the world and you all win. That's just gonna be boring, right? Who invaded Miyazaki and pointed down? I did, actually. Playing roles and altering fates. What other ways might players enjoy the game outside of combat? One thing I love doing in any game I direct is leaving fragments of lore and world building details, allowing the player the fun of using their imagination to make connections. Duskbloods is no exception to this. However, we've gone about it a little differently from previous titles. The fragments this time are found in previously mentioned character customization items, their blood history and fate. Customizing a character will reveal a piece of information regarding the world and its unfolding story. I guess kind of the story is built the exact same way in the Souls games. You have the most important piece of lore on a fucking item that's a bread with a little bit of blood on the end of it. It's kind of gonna, it feels like it's gonna be similar to that. So just like item descriptions. I think it's just gonna be a shit ton of items. New Miyazaki pick. Save image. Save. This time. There you go. Oh, thank God. You customize their blood history and fate? Yes, analyzing and altering a character's blood history and fate allows players to customize all sorts of things, from their abilities, appearance, and inner characteristics to the role they play in a world and relationships with other characters. Focusing these elements on the concept of blood or blood history and fate allows for a deeper exploration of customization and is another reason we place Bloodsworn as the protagonist. God damn, man. I wonder how many... Because there's like, he said there's over a dozen characters. You could say, let's just say there's 15 characters. Imagine they all have their own armor, their own skins. Damn, there's going to be a lot of stuff to collect in this game. That's interesting though. Knowing Miyazaki as well, the ugliest, weirdest, fattest little vampire is going to have like the most interesting lore. Do you mind sharing any other points you personally find interesting? One area I haven't talked about yet is roles. In online play, roles give players special responsibilities and objectives that often lead to a unique interaction and relationship between players based on their corresponding roles. That's probably not much info to go on, so allow me to provide a few examples, but please note, we're still finalizing some of the naming and details. For example, if a player possesses the Destined Rivals role, another player is designated as their rival, and they are tasked with finding and defeating that player. Doing so counts as achieving a personal goal, separate from the overall victory conditions. Oh my god. That's sick. I love that. So you can just start with a Destined Rivals role in the beginning of the game, and if you fucking kill that player, you end up getting probably more points and maybe even something that you unlock personally. So right off the game, imagine, by the way, you're playing and then the thing that pops up on the corner of your screen is, you got the Destined Rivals role. You are now being hunted down by Chase the Bro. Imagine seeing that shit. You are now being hunted down by Ouroboros. I also wonder if there's like a map. Does it show you on the map where they are or something like that, you know? Oh yeah, look at that. So that character is now like a co-op character. That's one of the summons. It's a wooden waifu. That's a cool feature though. I like the idea of having like a bounty on your head, or instantly starting match and you get unlucky or lucky depending on who you are. And you just have a bounty where you need to hunt somebody or somebody is hunting you. I love that. Kind of gives you an extra bit of thing, right? An extra thing to strive for and try to hunt people down. I guess that would be your motivation, to hunt people. And if you want to do more PvP. Another example is Destined Companion, where one player is required to seek out another designated as their companion, which results in a special reward if they form a bond with one another. Oh no. Roles can be assigned to any character via blood customization, allowing players to enjoy role-playing in a literal sense and hopefully adding the drama of these engagements. Okay, so from what this seems like, who the fuck is going to do nobody's ever going to do Destined Rivals then. Everybody's going to do Destined Companions, instantly get a co-op partner and just destroy everybody. That's what that sounds like to me. It literally says here, roles can be assigned to any character via blood customization, allowing players to enjoy role-playing in a literal sense. You're going to have a couple of gankers running around. I guess we'll have to wait and see how that works, but Destined Companion seems like it's going to be the ganking companions to me. That reminds me, I was a bit curious about the winged rat character seen in the trailer. Can you provide some details as to the role that this character serves? She gives you those sexy eyes, that rat. That character shares a similar role with the Firekeepers. No fucking way, I was right! I joked when I did my reaction video. I was like, oh, that's your new Firekeeper. I was fucking right. Congratulations, Michael, on the new job. Rat Firekeeper. They remain in the hub area, providing the player with advice and guidance. I suppose you could say we tried doing something a little Nintendo-esque in the spirit of the partnership. So instead of making it a hot, footless waifu, they made it a rat. I love that the rat is your Firekeeper. I love that. I knew it. Okay. Little Nintendo-esque thing for a partnership. What do you mean by that? We tried something cute for a change, although I will say this character is actually an elderly... Okay, so it is an old little rat. Is there anything else you would like to say before we finish? In addition to creating a PvPvE title, we've tried our hands at introducing a lot of new and interesting ideas with the Duskbloods. From superhuman player actions, a freeform combat approach, and gameplay that's dynamic and dramatic, to the romanticized aesthetic of the Bloodsworn, deep character customization, and fragmentary storytelling. I think there's a lot to appreciate and enjoy in this title, and sincerely hope players look forward to it. Yeah, he's just a humdrum lad of a fella. And that's it. That is our interview with the man himself. And it does actually kind of tell us a lot about the game. It's an 8-player game. Again, multiplayer focused, PvP and PvE. There are probably around 14, 15 characters to pick from. They're all designated characters and have their own lore, have their own stories, have their own, obviously, weapons, secondary weapons. The multiplayer is based on points rather than just straight up killing everybody like a BR game. It doesn't necessarily mean whoever gets the most kills is going to win. It could sometimes give random events where the whole squad has to team up to fight one boss. The lore is all in the armors. You have a little summon that you can summon that is an NPC. It sounds like to me like a BR game with, yeah, aspects a little bit of a hero shooter. It's got its BR aspects. It's got its Souls aspects with the boss fights. It sounds pretty unique, and I'm kind of all for it. Like, I like the sound of it. Again, it sucks that it's on Nintendo, because Nintendo's Nintendo, and then in general, multiplayer games on Nintendo was just never great. I will say, to the people who mentioned Smash and Monster Hunter, you guys said Smash is decent and Monster Hunter is fine. You guys aren't saying it's good. We'll see, right? Maybe they made big improvements with the Nintendo Switch 2. But at the end of the day, it's not like we've run into people with great connection on every other console anyways. You know, it's entirely based on each individual person and what they do with their internet. But overall, I like what I'm hearing about this game. If we're talking exclusively about the game and not the price point of Nintendo and its software, what we hear about the game is really cool. It has a really unique aspect to it, being that it's sort of BR, it's sort of its own Souls thing. You can also consider it even like a hero shooter type of situation, with both multiplayer and PvE. I'm excited to see the hub area. It seems like there's going to be a hub, kind of like the fireplace and Majula. You know what? I bet that song that they're gonna have is gonna be fire as fuck in whatever hub they have. But I think it looks really promising. I'll play it. I'm gonna buy it for sure. And then of course you guys can, if you want, just watch me. And if you don't want to pay for that, you can watch me play it. You guys are gonna see content from me, of course, playing the game itself. And I'll always let you guys know if it's good or if it's shit. But you'll be able to clearly see if it's nothing but like lag and stuff like that. You guys will know, right? You guys will know. But overall, positive.